I keep on writing, even though I might feel I'm wasting my time. Experience tells me that what you need to do, even if you really seriously think you're just filling pages with no effect whatsoever, the thing to do is to carry on and get your story finished. And then even if what you've written really doesn't seem very promising when you've read it all through, you've got something to change. And sometimes if you give it a rest for 2 or 3 days after you've finished, then when you go back to it and you read it through, your heart starts thudding and you think, oh, thank goodness, it's not anywhere near as bad as I thought. It's always, I think that's what keeps you going, because you just never know what it's going to be like. And it's not really something you can control. You can just try your hardest. But at the end of the day, you know, what appears on the page, you have no idea initially whether it's any good or not. I'm very old-fashioned in the way I write. I write longhand, and I find it works for me so that I have a whole notebook with the whole story in it, and it's very convenient. I can take it everywhere. I can write in the back of cars. I can write even standing up in a bus queue. I don't have to worry about being in a Wi-Fi area or whatever. I've just got my notebook and my pen. So I write the whole story out in longhand first. Then I type it up on the computer. And so the computer version is my second draft, and I tidy up as I go. And because it's complete change from the writing things out, then I've got my far more critical head on, and I'm thinking all the time of my readers and whether they will understand this, or whether the plot is sagging a bit here or there, or whether I've written a passage that might be almost too upsetting for children. So I've got all these thoughts going on in my head as I'm typing out. And when I've finished that draft, I go through it again, looking for just tiny little things, but basically that's it. So there's the first longhand draft, and then the computer, and then it's sent off to the publishing. Sadly, there will come a time when I have to do various changes and little nitpicking things here and there. I'm mostly a very reasonable person and will do some of the things the editors suggest. Just occasionally I put my foot down, and at my stage of career, it's much easier to say, hopefully politely, no, I'm so sorry, I'm really not going to change that. At the start of your career, if you've got any common sense, you have to do exactly what people tell you to do. But still, you are still the anxious person that wants to see your book properly published at the end of the day. So it's a sort of dialogue that goes on between the two of you. I got ill 2 years ago with serious heart problems. Up till then, I worked very hard indeed. I wrote 2 novels a year. I did a lot of extra writing work. I wrote back to every single child that wrote to me. I was on goodness knows how many committees and charity things. And I did many, many events. And I also did lots of book signings. But then I got ill, and then I was told, really, you can't do any of this, and you've got to take it extremely easy and carefully. And I had about 3 months when I did nothing. I was just convalescing afterwards. I'm 64. Most of my friends my age, in fact all of my friends my age, have retired or been made redundant or whatever. And though sometimes I long for a bit of free time, actually, if I really had nothing to do but just read whatever I wanted or go for walks, I would get very quickly bored after a bit and miss writing desperately. So it's a question of trying to get a balance in life. What I do now every morning, but the very first thing I do when I get up, is I write about 500 words, which isn't very much at all. It's just about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. And as long as I've done that, I feel, well, I have done something. And I do that even when I'm on holiday or even Christmas, whatever. So every day I do that. I'm very much a hands-on person, or you could call me a control freak. I like to know what's going on and put my 2 pennies in. So it is quite busy. I have this idea in my head of exactly how I should be doing things. I don't always stick to it, though.
Jacqueline, I think that was wonderful. Is that all right, Mark? Have you got that?
Yes, great. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Were you sniffing in the background at my saying I've calmed down?
You don't need to calm